Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another in the series of Vegans Across the World. Today, we have two really, really special guests. They are coming from Hong Kong, China, and outside. So, everybody, please welcome Ann and Wendy. Hello.
Hello.
Thank
Hi.
you. Thank you so much for being here. So, what I want to do is I'm going to start out as I always do, sharing my screen, and we are going to show where you are in the world. And we're going to give a little bit of information. Now, when I do this, I get off our screen, so just let me know if you see that. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay.
I see a pin.
So there's your red dot. Now, I did zone in on Hong Kong, and we'll start there. That's just a good place to start. I don't know why it's not centering for me. There we go.
Yeah, this is
A
good.
tiny dot.
There you go. All right. So, some information about the area. China is the fourth largest country in the world after Russia, Canada, and the U.S. It's only slightly smaller than the U.S. And it has approximately 5,000 islands off the coast. It is often considered the longest continuous civilization, with some of the historians dating it back to 6,000 BC. It also has the world's longest continuously written language. This is really interesting. 1 in every 5 people in the world is Chinese. And the fortune cookie, this is for Americans. The fortune cookie is not traditional Chinese custom. It was invented in 1920 in San Francisco. Is that true?
Probably. I've never heard of fortune cookies.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it
me
is
too.
true. So that's for Americans to know. So this is great. Toilet paper was invented in China in the late 1300s, but it was for emperors only at the time.
Okay.
Now, if I'm wrong about any of this stuff, you just let me know.
Sure.
They also invented paper, the compass, gunpowder, and printing, and kites. And there were so many more to list that I just left it there.
Yes.
Cricket fighting is popular, and many children keep them as pets. Is that true?
The insects.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, crickets.
Yeah, I think so.
Many...
I think so. But back in the days.
Okay, but do children keep them as pets?
I'm not sure, but they have some gambling of the insects. Yeah.
So I take it neither one of you grew up with a pet cricket.
No.
Yeah,
no.
I have cats, but not insects.
Well, you know what? That's good to know. That's good to know. Some of this stuff might be old information. I got it off the internet. So, white rather than black is the traditional color for funerals and mourning. Is that true?
White.
Do you wear white at funerals and during mourning?
Yes.
Okay.
And for funeral, yes.
Yeah. And red symbolizes happiness and is commonly used at festivals.
Yes, fortunate, Chinese New Year, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, on marriage.
And during marriage, you wear red wedding dresses and see, that's
for the
awesome.
Traditional Chinese one.
That's awesome. I would wear a red wedding dress. Not that I would get married, but I would. During the first half of the 20th century, Shanghai was the only part in the world to accept Jews fleeing the Holocaust without an entry visa. So,
no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do not know as well.
Yeah. I love it when the people that I'm interviewing don't know some of this stuff. I think that's the great part.
It's a lot of different cities. And me personally, I'm from Hong Kong and Wendy as well.
Yeah.
A lot of cities. Yeah.
So the bicycle was introduced by 2 American travelers in 1891, and now it's the primary transportation of millions of Chinese, and they are currently the leading bicycle manufacturer.
Probably.
Yeah. There are more cell phones in China than people in the U.S.
There's more what? Sorry?
Cell phones.
Oh, cell phones, yeah.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Cell phone is everything here.
Yeah. And just so everybody out there knows, Hong Kong is a special administrative region, but it's still part of China. So one of our guests is coming from Hong Kong. Another guest, and this is why this is so special, is coming from outside of Hong Kong. So thank you so much.
Wendy is currently in Shanghai.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm from Hong Kong, but I work in Shanghai. I live in Shanghai currently.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing the screen, and I'm going to get back to us. And let me see. All right, it changed just a little bit. That's fine. Yeah, get you some water. You okay?
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to say, and I always say this at the end of my facts, population of China is 1.398 billion as of the 2019 census. I forgot to say that. So, ladies, thank you and welcome again. Thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you for having us.
Thank you.
Oh, there's a cat.
Oh, we got an extra guest there. So let's go ahead and get to know you guys. First of all, let's go ahead and we'll have Ann, you go first, Wendy, you go after, just so that we don't interrupt each other. And I'll go ahead and start asking my questions. So please tell us about yourself. For example, what do you do and what kind of advocacy might you be involved in?
Sure. So hi everyone, I'm Ann. So for my full-time job, 9 to 5, I actually work for sports industry. But apart from that, I do a lot of activism in Hong Kong as well. Back in 2 years before, I used to organize Hong Kong Pig Safe, which is part of the Safe movement. And that's the first thing that I did. The second thing that I did is Anonymous for the Voiceless, which a lot of you guys might have already heard. And I do the local Hong Kong chapter for Anonymous. Yes. Wendy.
Okay. Currently, I'm working as a sustainable lifestyle advocate in Shanghai. But then back to I just here end of last year. So when I was in Hong Kong since 5.5 years ago, I was start from some grassroots activism. So during that time, I was a standing committee of Hong Kong Veg Society. I'm also co-founder of the Vegans Hong Kong group, and also the Fur Free Hong Kong. Yeah, so we during that time we host a protest once a year during the Fur Fair. Yeah, so we work very closely with Dave before. So mainly in Hong Kong, I was mainly doing the grassroots activism, but then here now it's more like transformed to a public or a corporate advocacy in China.
That's awesome. So you ladies have been very busy. You keep very busy. How is it now that we've had the pandemic? You guys are you in lockdown right now?
Nope.
Okay, great.
Nope. Yeah. In Hong Kong.
Okay.
Yeah, here in China, if there is cases in my district, I will be in lockdown. But yeah, now it's quite safe here.
So they are doing it according to the numbers rising and falling.
It depends if everything under control or they actually checking everything closely.
Sure. So how does that affect your advocacy there? Anne, have you been able to do any cubes? You're still doing cubes or?
And when the pandemic starts, and it lasts for 2 years right now, I think. And for Pig Safe, it actually stopped because there's the avian flu about the pigs. The pigs got the flu, and actually the business for the pig industry in Hong Kong is actually not that good. And actually there's less pig trucks coming into slaughterhouse. That's why we couldn't do a proper Pig Safe kind of bear witness events. That's why we give it a pause for Hong Kong.
So the pigs actually came down with the flu.
And actually that a lot of pigs, the livestock, in Hong Kong, it came from China.
Okay.
So it's delivered by the trucks from China to Hong Kong.
So what, they were stopping the slaughter of pigs or the transportation,
There's
or you
less
weren't allowed
coming in.
out?
There's less coming in from China. Yes. And also but they still do have the local pig farms. So the slaughter is still going on. It's just one of the slaughterhouses, the business is really not good. They're close to closing down.
Sure.
That slaughterhouse is where we do the Pig Safe Bear Witness event. That's why we give it a pause, and then we kind of start doing anonymous for voiceless. Yes. But for pandemic, because of the social distance restriction in Hong Kong, that's why we paused a little bit as well. But 6 months ago, we resume it again. So it's fine right now. We are still doing like outreach on the streets.
That's great. Okay. And you said that they are close to shutting down too, which is great. Now,
Yes.
I want to address something that it might be in the back of your minds, but it's obvious here in the U.S., and that is we are not going to shame China for pigs having flu or anything like that, because this is something that happens anywhere that we are holding animals in confinement, any
Yeah.
country, especially in the U.S. It happens here. So I just want to shut that down right now. If anybody has that in their minds, that they need to do any China shaming, because it happens all over the world. Any time that we are confining and commodifying and exploiting animals, this is what we're going to get.
Mm.
So we run this risk in our own backyards here in the U.S. So, Wendy, what about you? Outside of Hong Kong, are you able to do any sort of advocacy?
Advocacy, yeah, we still have lots of room to do advocacy, but not activism. Yeah, because like in Hong Kong, we can just so simple to host like street outreach. It's just so simple, but it's not allowed in China. But still, we have lots of room to like doing like bringing the awareness on sustainable diets, sustainable living style, or or the health topics. Now, I think food prices, food safety, also the topic people they cared about. Yeah, so I think the content is a bit different. In Hong Kong, we were just directly mentioned about animal rights. Yeah, not really animal liberation. This is our goal, but at
Yeah.
least we will mention about the animal rights. But then here, I think animal welfare is a bit behind, and I think this content, this topic is still so niche, so new to the people. So we need to shift the content to be like more related to their daily life and what they're concerned about.
Yeah. So you're restricted in being able to do streets, like cubes, stuff like that, tabling. Yeah, you're not allowed to show footage or anything like that outside of Hong Kong.
I think just a few people standing on the street in China raising some banner is not allowed as well, no matter it's about human rights or animal rights or whoever's rights.
Sure. So you kind of like have to have potlucks and stuff like that, maybe. Is that
Community event is fine.
sure?
It's like really a community event, but it's yeah,
You
like
got to work it in there.
celebration, meet up.
You
Yeah, it works.
kind of work it in there.
Yeah, but not
You have the
activism, not
conversations one on one
demonstrations.
in a more social setting.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure.
And also, I think maybe it not works in this place because I think when we host a demonstration or protest in Hong Kong, we assume we can, like awakening some of the people or at least catch some people attention and because they cared about that. But I think here overall, the majority they feel not comfortable for all these activities. They will think it's too aggressive. They won't accept that. So I think it really depends the audience as well.
Sure. Sure. So let me ask you, ladies, where are you from originally? And where are you originally from? Hong Kong or outside of it?
Sure. I'm
Yeah, both
originally
we are
from
from
Hong
Hong
Kong.
Kong.
Yes, both of us.
Both of
Yes.
you are originally
Yeah.
from Hong Kong. So I'm going to ask you, what is the culture and the food like where you're at? But being outside of Hong Kong as well, I want to ask, is there any difference in the food and the culture?
Maybe Anne, you can talk about Hong Kong. Then now I'm in Shanghai,
Sure.
so
I can talk about Hong Kong first, but it is actually quite similar for Hong Kong and also the Chinese traditional diet. So Hong Kong is located in the southern part of China. So for that area, a lot of food is like dim sum. Do you
Okay.
know dim sum? Like
Yeah,
the
it's where they
traditional
just
tea
have
house
the little pieces here and there.
and the bamboo steamer
Yeah.
with the 4 pieces of dumpling, that kind of thing. Dim sum is a huge thing in Hong Kong, and also we do a lot of rice, and also a lot of like stir fried, really with the wok. Hey, I don't know how to say, like the really the burning kind
Yeah,
of
the
flavor.
wok. Wok, yeah.
the
The
pan
wok.
fried.
Yes, the pan fried the wok. And also we actually is quite huge on meat as well. Apart from the local tea house that I mentioned about the dim sum already, there's a lot of like barbecue pork bun. There's a lot of dumplings stuffed with pork meat, and a lot of different like chicken and beef, that kind of stuff. And for like the local restaurant kind of thing, we do like dish with rice on the side, and there's the main dish. The main dish is usually dominated by meat as well. For
Really?
example, like barbecue pork again. We like to eat a kind of food called siu mei. Siu mei is where you roast and barbecue all the meat, and then you put on the side, and then it comes with really little bit of greens or veggie on the side. So it's actually quite unhealthy in general as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to ask you while we're on, talking about this, since Hong Kong is near the coast, right? Do you see more, I hate saying seafood, sea
See,
animals on the plates in the culture than you would see further inland?
yes, yes. Seafood is huge in Hong Kong as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Wendy?
think in terms of meat and seafood, both of them, Hong Kong is the one of the highest consumption cities in the world. Hong Kong. Yep.
Because local people, apart from eating the local diet, we do have a lot of international cuisine here as well. But they have a local version of international cuisine. For example, people in Hong Kong love to eat Japanese food, but Japanese food is not always about the fish, the sashimi. Sometimes it served a lot of veggies as well in traditional Japanese culture. But in Hong Kong, we have our own version, which is like a buffet of all the fishes and all the sea animals that you can
Sashimi.
all
That
the
sounds like
sashimi.
an Americanized version of other people's food.
Yeah, buffet. Always
That's
is
what we
always
do.
buffet.
We
All
take
you can
Mexican
eat.
food, whatever, and we just like throw tons of flesh on it.
Yes,
And I
yes.
actually did just interview somebody from Japan, and we
Uh-huh.
talked about that I always had it in my head. You know, people in America have it in their head sushi, so they think raw fish. But I always
Yes,
had it in my head that there was a lot of vegetables, and he was like, "Yes, we do have a lot of vegetables, but of course they're an island, so any island is going to have the seafood influence." Um,
absolutely.
but yeah, that's what Americans would do as well. We would just throw whatever influence you give us. We're just going to throw a bunch of flesh on top of it,
Yes.
and we'll fry it.
Fried
Wow.
it.
Yeah,
Oh.
then we'll fry it. Oh, so Wendy,
In
what are your
Shanghai.
thoughts of like the influence once you went outside of Hong Kong? Did you see any major changes in culture or the food? And food has a lot to do with culture, but any other things?
Yeah, there's a really huge culture shock.
Was it?
It's very different. It's really different. I think even within China, there is a southern China, East China. It's huge. So I
Yes.
think no matter the eating culture or the culture of each places, they you know, is really localized. It's really far different. It's just like the north of China. They, I think, like 80% of their food a focus on meats in the northern China. I think in east and southern China, the proportion of veggies already um more, a bit more, yeah.
Yeah.
And it is like at the western part, like Sichuan in China, they eat lots of spicy food and chili. Yeah,
Yes.
so I think after I moved to Shanghai, even it's just like and just talked about Hong Kong food style. It's more like localized fusion style, localized
And you
international
think
food.
that might have something to do with like being on the coast that they get a little more of the Indian influence or trading stuff like that with spices? Might that have something to do with it?
誒
Um,
海上交易會唔會？You mentioned about there's more transportation, more trade.
More, yeah, trading on the coast, like Indian
oh,
spices, like
Oh.
chilies and
um,
stuff like that might have something to do with it. I'm curious, have either one of you had a chance to travel around the country of China to different areas?
I think
yeah,
both of us did.
Okay. So
yeah.
I did read that only about 43% of the population of China actually live in the cities. So Wendy touched upon this, and that is you have like their little tribes, you know what I mean, around their own influences. Do you see those change dramatically from place to place? I mean, obviously, you've got all the way from you're near Japan to all the way close to Mongolia. I can imagine that there's probably a huge difference there when you travel from one place to the other.
Yeah, it's very different, but luckily I'm already at the city, which is I think most vegan friendly in China, because Shanghai is more close to, is more similar to Hong Kong. It's quite international. So many expats living here, and there is, I think, among the big city like Shanghai, Beijing,
Guangzhou.
Chengdu, Shenzhen, Guangzhou, there are vegans community, and the vegan community in Shanghai is really mature. Yeah, so I'm pretty lucky. But um, if there is any different of, I mean, China is really huge. What I'm talking about is just Shanghai, but I think Shanghai is really vegan friendly, and I found that there are some high end vegan restaurant. I can't find that in Hong Kong, but here in Shanghai, we have like some
Yes.
high end vegan
This is
food.
an interesting point because in Shanghai or in many major cities in China, the living quality is quite okay actually. It's quite similar to Hong Kong. A lot of time they are quite modern as well, but at the same time the price of living is lower than Hong Kong. So in
Yeah.
Hong Kong, when you have to do a vegan business, for example, vegan restaurant, it's a lot more challenging and it requires a lot more investment compared to that in China. That's
So
why
you
China.
probably have more red tape to start businesses and stuff like that, like more.
Yeah,
You
and
have to
it's
do a lot
not,
more paperwork, stuff
yes,
like
and
that.
also a lot of money compared to China. A
Right.
lot of different cities in China. That's why I feel like there's more creativity in terms of vegan restaurant in China and more room for that creativity.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and I think the eating habit is very different. In Hong Kong, I think many families, they will still like the housewife, they will cook for their family most of the time. But here in China, delivery is huge. People, they not really
Much
cook. They
faster
just eating
paced life.
outside. Yeah.
Yeah.
At least in Shanghai, it's really fast paced, and the trend just comes and go really short. In other cities, it's still quite different. I think it's still much more slow paced compared to Hong Kong, but in Shanghai, people seldom cook. You know,
People are
materialistic
busy
place.
at work.
They probably work a lot more hours in the city. That, like I said before, faster paced life.
Yeah.
Um, Probably with a lot more tourism, they have bigger companies
Yes.
and
Yes.
people,
In
yeah,
Shanghai,
Yeah.
yes. In other parts of
work
China,
longer hours.
there are still a lot of families doing making their own food, like start from scratch, handcrafted food. But compared to Hong Kong, actually Hong Kong is quite similar to Shanghai. I feel like fast-paced international city and all the financial thing going on, and people work long hour, and they used to do delivery a lot in Hong Kong as well, and they don't cook that much. When you don't cook that much, you rely on the local restaurants, and you do a lot of fast food, supermarket kind of food. So yeah.
It honestly sounds like a lot of Western influence. I mean, it just sounds like us. It's like people just rely so much on fast food.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think in the only fast restaurant, Hong Kong, the normal restaurant, they have more veg options compared to Shanghai.
Oh, really?
I also read that you guys have tons of KFC. KFC comes up every place that I interview. And I'm just shocked by that, because it's just that as an American, you think of McDonald's as a staple before you think of KFC. KFC is obviously a staple for us, but you think of McDonald's first. But I read the KFC, I think you guys, China has some of the most KFCs of any country. Is that true? Do you see them everywhere?
For Hong Kong situation, McDonald's dominates.
Really?
But yeah, I think both they are really big chain, but McDonald's may be a bit more popular.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I did. I just thought that was kind of strange when I read that, because I'm like, every time I talk to somebody, they talk about KFC.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was saying when I went to the Middle East, like 20 some years ago, 25, I can't even remember now. I remember seeing a KFC and thinking that was really weird. I don't remember seeing a McDonald's in the Middle East, but I do remember seeing a KFC in Cairo, and I just thought it was really weird. So
yeah, but I think even in Hong Kong and Shanghai, all those chains are very different. I think in Hong Kong, McDonald's is really veg friendly. They come up quite many veg options.
Oh, really?
But in China, KFC is more veg friendly.
Oh, another way around.
Yeah, so they are still like the operation is still separate.
Well, we just hope to one day have a VFC instead of a KFC.
Yeah, of course.
Actually, I think that there is a company that just opened up, or a restaurant that they might just be a food truck right now that's called
Canada
VFC.
or something. Like in Canada or something, there's a vegan fast food chain, right? I'm not so sure.
We have some of those, but I think there actually is just a place or a small company opened up called VFC here.
Oh.
but I really want the chain to be VFC, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, first of all, Anne, how long have you been vegan?
I have been vegan since 2017, so it's 4 years.
Okay, and Wendy, how about you?
5.5 years.
5.5 years.
Yep.
Okay. So let me ask you again, Anne and then Wendy, what made you want to? What flipped that switch for you?
Yeah, sure. I actually turned pescatarian first, and then I slowly get into vegetarian, then vegan. First of all, for the pescatarian and vegetarian, because of Peter Singer. I read I actually read a lot of his reading during my philosophy class. That's why I feel like, environmentalist thinking, I have to be a vegetarian. And then that's why I shift to vegetarian. But after I came back to Hong Kong, I actually did my study in Monash in Australia.
Okay.
In Melbourne. That's why I study about Peter Singer. And then when I came back to Hong Kong, when I searched online to look for some other veg friends, and then I start to know some vegans in Hong Kong. And then they opened my eyes to a whole new world, to different animal cruelties that I haven't been reading about, because before turning vegan, I was actually an environmentalist. So when we're talking about environmentalists, we start to cut down meat, but I don't know about the egg and also dairy.
Yeah.
So when I meet my vegan friends, they open my eyes.
How did you meet those vegan friends again?
I came back to Hong Kong, and then I searched online on Facebook and starting to look for some vegetarian or vegan friends. And that's where I went to an event called Earthlings, the poster behind you. Earthlings experience.
Your Earthlings experience was the influence for AV. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I went to the Earthling experience and I met other vegan friends.
That's awesome. Now, outside of Hong Kong, do you think that you would have been able to do that? They don't have Facebook, they don't have stuff like that, or groups.
I think
Are
it's
there any groups on the social media within China?
in China.
Because we okay, I think in Weibo many years ago, Peter was in Weibo. Um, yeah, but I
Wait,
think
Weibo, is that an area?
Weibo is one of the largest, most popular social media here. So
Oh, okay.
but they being took down since last year, I think. Yeah, so I
Weibo is like a Twitter, but a Chinese version of Twitter.
Okay.
And then
yeah.
Pita Asia, I think Pita Asia used to have an official account on Weibo. It has millions of followers, as I heard. But 1 or 2 years ago, it got taken down
Oh, okay.
because it's a Westerner thing and
Sure.
it talks about rights, I guess.
Yeah, sure. So, Wendy, what flipped the switch
Yeah.
for you? What made you become vegan?
I think quite simple. First, the main point is animals. I think after I know about the circumstance of the factory farming, it's really so hard for me to involve this industry. But then I also do it like shape it quite progressively. I first been a pescatarian and then vegetarian and then vegan, so similar with, and then I also cared about the environment. I think back to the old time, um, I what I know about the factory farming. Also, I start practicing yoga during that time, and then I know, oh, I can live a lifestyle called vegan. So everything is just comes to me at the same time. Yeah, but then I would say animal is a key factor to make this move.
So, Anne, actually, before you joined us, before we started, um, she told me, Wendy, that you are you a practitioner of yoga? Are you teaching yoga?
Yeah.
I am
Yeah,
actually
both.
taking classes to become a yoga teacher, so she said that we might want to talk about that.
That's
So,
Yeah,
awesome.
can I ask you?
I
Can I
think
ask you? Did you happen to read Will Tuttle's book, World Peace Diet?
yeah, actually when he hosts the World Peace Diet tour, I was a moderator in Hong Kong.
You
Yeah.
know that he has a big connection to where I'm at in Cincinnati, Ohio, and
Yeah, he was in Hong
I'm
Kong to host a conference as well.
yeah. He's spoken here. He's spoken where I'm taking my classes. He's been at our Veg Fest. He was the influencer for my yoga teacher, my yoga instructor's her
Oh,
book. Her book is
ah,
called World Peace Yoga, and
Ah,
she
oh,
very
nice.
much advocates for the vegan lifestyle within that book. It's a really, really great piece of advocacy. Um,
cool.
I didn't realize what kind of activism she was doing until I read that book.
Mm.
But
Yeah, I think I start teaching yoga because there is a vegan fitness center and yoga center in Hong Kong. So all the instructor there, they are vegan. So that's why I joined the team. This is how I start teaching. Yeah, but the yoga community, the yoga trend here in Shanghai is a bit different.
well,
Yeah,
I
so
think it is everywhere, and I think that's the thing is a lot of people see it as the asanas, or the
yeah,
movement, the physical part of yoga
yeah,
as
it
yoga, but
claims that
it's far deeper than that. It's
yeah,
very
the
much
philosophy is important.
it's very much entrenched in ahimsa, and
Yes.
that is nonviolence and a
Yes.
nonviolent life. So
Yes.
that's wonderful,
Yeah.
Wendy. That's great to hear. Actually, I want to look over here and see if I have. See, I think I have my book put up. I have my book put up because I've been going to the cafe with it and studying. So, but I was going to
Yeah,
bring out
share
my World
with me
Peace
later
Yoga book
on.
for you to see. Since just to let you know, anything that we mention in this, any social media contacts that you want to give, any restaurants, names, places, whatever, any links that you want to give. If people aren't familiar, I always put those below the video. Okay,
Oh,
so
good.
those links will be there. And since we have mentioned uh, World Peace Diet
Diet.
and World Peace
Yeah.
Yoga, I'll put links to those as well. And
Okay.
any
Good.
references that you want to give, I will put those below. So,
Okay, good.
all
Yeah,
right.
or the information like the vegan community here in Shanghai.
Yes.
Or one thing I need to address: Happy Cow. We can use it here as well.
Oh, you can.
We
You
can.
can do
Yeah.
that outside of Hong Kong. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of places on there on the app?
Yeah, in Shanghai, yes.
Okay.
Like some city, it really depends the city. Like Dali, yeah, there are so many nice food, but in some city, it's so hard.
Yeah, sure. But
Shanghai
that's
is vegan
wonderful.
friendly.
That's great. So, are any of your family or friends vegan? When all
We
right,
Before,
Anne?
friends are vegan.
Well, I, you know what? Outside of your circle of people that gather to do animal advocacy, do you have any like friends that you grew up with that are now vegan because of you, or your family? Have they gone vegan? And do you want to
I,
answer first?
Sure. I would say my family, they're quite open to veganism or plant-based diet because, for example, my parents, they are like in their 60s, so they feel like they're more concerned about health. So from the health perspective, they are willing to eat more plants. And also my mom cooks for me a lot. So she'll be like family, there's three people and I couldn't just serve vegan food for Anne and then we eat meat the rest of the meal. So they do a lot of they actually 95% vegan already, except my
wow.
eggs. That's it. They do eat a lot of veggie food. But for my friends, I would say is there's hardly any vegans, but there's slowly more people are more open to plant-based diet and they are more willing to try and then they feel like there are actually more options than they expected after me talking to them and bringing them to events, etc.
Okay.
Okay, Wendy.
Yes. So I think before I turned vegan, I do not know anyone. But then after I turned vegan, because I start activism at the same time, then I have a bunch of vegan fellow
Yeah.
family. Yeah. So even in Hong Kong, in Shanghai, I can still find a very sweet vegan community group. Yeah, but family is a bit hard to change them. But I think I'm I'm very passionate to advocate the vegan lifestyle. And in Hong Kong, I host lots of different events. I would invite doctor and nutritionists to host a talk, or I do lots of a screening event. So most of the time, I would invite my families to join the event. So now they are not vegan, they are not even vegetarian, but I think they know the truth behind the factory farming, and they also have enough knowledge to how to shift their diet. So now they are still vegetarian. I would say to me it's much easier to move to friends but not family. Yeah, because I think around me, I think at least I think like close to 10 people or maybe more than 10 people they turn vegetarian or vegan after I knowing them. And I think like from time to time people they will like test me and ask about, oh, how can I begin a vegetarian or vegan lifestyle? Or sometimes the people they will just come to me, I think I need to let you know you are the first group of vegan I know about, and now I turn vegan. I think I need to let you know. So I think sometimes it's like, oh, I harvest finally.
Well, you know what?
There's some
Everybody that I
positive
interview,
news.
we seem to have that in common in that it's easier for us to talk to and influence total strangers than it is for us to do that with our families. And
Yeah.
it's very frustrating. I think it has to do with
Yes.
the closeness. And I had one person say, and I think it made sense, is that our parents simply don't want to be told that they were wrong by their children, and
Mm.
I think it makes a stubborn streak in them. But something that you brought up, Wendy, that I'd be interested to know is, do you have apps for people to help them go vegan, like Challenge 22, outside of Hong Kong, that are available, or any kind of apps that just help people go vegan with information? Are those available?
I think in Hong Kong we don't really have apps. I think before that there is some small organization. They will host the 21 days vegan challenge
Okay.
irregularly. But I think it seems in the recent 2 years, is lots of changes in due to the COVID, due to the circumstance in Hong Kong. Yeah, so it's I think now we don't really have such support in
So
Hong Kong.
you have a hard you have a hard job there, in that you really gotta support people one on one, in real life, I should say. Like, you can't just
Yeah,
do
it's
it
very important. Yeah, but
virtually.
I know there is some in China, not a very
Ooh.
large scale. Yeah, but there is some in China, and I know more and more people they trying to organize that.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's
So,
great.
in Hong Kong, we do have some kind of like vegan support group. Vegan support group. It's like a vegan society or vegan Facebook group
Yeah.
online. So people like to always ask questions about nutrition, ask about where to get that veggie, that kind of product, or where to find a vegan restaurant. There's a group, and people are quite responsive and sometimes supportive. Yes, yes.
That's
So,
great.
yeah.
So now that you guys have been vegan for a while, y- and I asked about your family and friends being vegan, but what do they think about your veganism and about your advocacy? What do they think about that?
What do they think about activism? In Hong Kong, people are more accepting, more acceptive for activism or any kind of outreach or protest. But I would say people are still quite conservative and they are not really willing to share their views. So, for example, when we do Cube of Truth in Hong Kong, a lot of the time we start with questions. Right? Have you ever seen those videos and how do you feel about those animal cruelty videos, stuff like that? And people in Hong Kong, the passerbys, they are usually quite reluctant to share their views. And they are quite like hesitate and then feel scared about someone's talking to them, some kind of stranger talking to them,
Like,
but
why are
still,
you asking me questions?
yes, and random people asking them a lot of different questions, and they are reluctant to share. But it depends on the district in Hong Kong as well, and depends on the age. Sometimes when we approach, like for example, university students or younger people, of course they are more because of social media, for example, they're more aware of this kind of liberation kind of stuff. So they have their awareness. But when you talk to middle age or elderly in Hong Kong, they are less aware. Yes.
Wendy, what do your family and friends
Yeah,
at
I think
least
in
think of your
China,
advocacy?
my I think my family and friends they are super supportive. Because I think what I'm doing or what I choose to do is just so aligned to my belief, and I love animals in I'm very young age. So I think it's just very makes sense to walk this path for me. And actually, even they are not vegan, I think activism actually help my friends and family. They know more about veganism. They appreciate what I'm doing. They know not too many people doing that. So even they are not turning vegan with me, but they really supportive. Yeah, but I think in terms of like we were talking about the majority in Hong Kong, and many other people at the street, maybe they are still quite conservative or they are not open. Not everyone open to share their thoughts. But then compared to China, I think Hong Kong is already better.
Yes.
I
I
still
understand.
can find some people they are doing the same thing like me. They are trying to here with they're trying to bring up the awareness on the animal welfare. or they are trying to do whatever they want in this place. Yeah, but I think majority when we talk about animals is, I think overall, like in Hong Kong, I think like dogs and cats, most of the people, I think 99% of the people, they will treat them as a family, or at least they are different to the animal we eat. But then here, the perspective on animal, different places, different people is so, they differentiate the closer family and then the other human maybe.
Yeah.
And then even dogs and cats, there are some people they just don't care, but some of the people, they are just the same like us. Yeah, so I think because there's lots of people, and
Quite diverse.
the diversity is so different. So I will say I'm not alone. I know there are still some people like working like me here, but then majority, I will feel much easier in Hong Kong.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But you would say that definitely your friends and family know now that it's not a phase and that they respect that this is serious for you. So
Yeah. They are very supportive actually.
that's great. That's great. So you kind of answered this, but I usually ask, how do people view animal rights where you live, not just veganism. You
Sorry,
kind of
what's the
answered
question?
that, Wendy. But
Oh,
if you
okay.
want to elaborate any more at all, Anne or
Yeah,
Wendy,
sure.
On
Wendy,
what?
the
Sorry.
question was how do people view animal rights where you live?
not
So
just
I
veganism.
will explore.
In Shanghai, how the majority think about animal rights?
You can skip this question. I can talk about Hong Kong first.
Sure, sure.
Or maybe you want to elaborate on the Hong Kong
Yeah, well,
situation.
she kind of told us in a way that,
Yeah.
some people, they don't even care about the
Yes.
cats and dogs outside of Hong Kong.
Yes.
They
It
see it
is.
differently. So I would assume that, like for example, you can't do any kind of save movement stuff there, um, or they wouldn't understand that.
Yes.
Yeah, I can still elaborate a bit later. Yeah, but let
Sure,
mention
sure.
about Hong Kong.
However you want to do this.
You talk about animal rights, right? This term is actually, a lot of people misunderstand this term in Hong Kong. For example, 2 or 3 years ago, we have an animal rights march in Hong Kong. Wow, it sounds great. But when you go on to the animal rights march, it's people with their dogs and cats. Because during that period of time, there's a lot of news about abusing pets. That's why there's a lot of Hong Kong people very angry, and then they stand on the street and then they speak up for the voices, that kind of stuff. And the banner wrote really huge words, animal rights march. And same in Chinese as well. But I think for them, they misunderstand because animal for them is like pet.
Yeah.
Rabbits, cats, dogs, fish, that kind of things. But when you, of course, in a bigger picture, you know that like cows, pigs, they're all animals as well. So there's a misunderstanding. But that's why I think we really need to work on making the term right.
Yeah, and education, and yeah, sure.
Do you want to
Yeah,
elaborate
so
on anything?
I think it's like equality, speciesism. Such term I think is still only popular among the vegan community. Yeah. So
Yes.
I think people, they still do not have a very mature mindset on equality and speciesism. Yeah, and here in China, I think it's even. Yeah, I think here in China is too beyond if I talk about right. Yeah, so I was still, this is my own statement. This is my value. I was still telling people, yeah, I was an animal right activist in Hong Kong, and even what I'm doing is actually helping animals. I still encourage people. Yeah, we eating maybe only one day's vegan a week is still kind of helping ourselves, our planet, and the animal, I was still encouraging them. Yeah, but I think in terms of right, it's too far from their what they understand or what they.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think.
I understand what you're
Yes.
saying. I understand. I understand what you're saying, Wendy.
I think the first step is animal welfare. Yeah, but be frank. Even if I'm facing the
You mean to catch them up with what you're trying to say? You need to start there. Is it what you're trying to say?
yeah, sometimes when we do advocacy, we need to find a common ground with the audience. So I found that pet is one of the common ground for us to bring up a conversation with people in Hong Kong. But I think even here is a bit it's really a bit difficult. Yeah,
Sure.
even I talk about animal welfare, there are some people they will think, oh, it may associate the animal cruelty, that is too sensitive, it's so aggressive. Yeah.
In
So
Shanghai.
Yeah, even yeah, this so everything is just the message need to be very mild, very positive. The picture you show, there's no graphic. A bit living in a bubble for me sometimes.
sure. Sure. So,
Yeah.
but Anne, what about you? Like when you did you said you did the pig saves. You did the vigils with pig save there in Hong Kong.
Yes.
Well, how do people receive that? How did they see that when you do that?
I feel like when I organize Pig Safe, I feel like people are quite actually disconnected.
They're like, "What
In,
the hell are you doing?" Well,
in
you know,
videos,
people do that all over the world, though.
yeah,
So,
we do a lot of like bear witness. That's why we try to reconnect people to the animal, the origin of the food, right? But still, a lot of people in general, they are disconnected to the nature.
sure.
It's really a heavily urbanized space, and we rarely. I wouldn't say they rarely go outdoor. They will go outdoor, but still they are quite disconnected to the nature. But and then when you talk about animal, I think it's quite advanced for them. They have to take their time, take their step by step. First, they start to appreciate nature, and then afterwards, they start to appreciate other living beings as well. So
Now,
I feel like
the save movement. You're known for like documenting that and putting that online. Uh, were you able, or do you do that within Hong Kong on social media? And do you get reactions from the locals? Do they finally start to see the connection?
actually when the people actually came to our events, I think they have the basic awareness already.
Okay.
Although they might not be vegan or vegetarian, they have the basic awareness and they will respect the events. And afterwards, they will change their mindset as well.
So
The
you have
event,
people that come to the events that haven't made the connection yet out of curiosity. Do they do that, or you're just
out of
talking about
curiosity, yeah.
bystanders?
And some of them actually didn't know much about factory farming issue yet,
And
but
they
they are
came
still
out of
willing to come.
curiosity?
Yes,
Oh,
some of them did. Actually, we do have like a regular 20 people vigil with
wow.
5 or 6 is like regular visitors and then other are newbies. Yes,
That's
and then
wonderful.
out of curiosity, they will come to the events and they will have their mindset change sometimes. But overall, except for those people who come to vigil, overall for the netizen, for people online, Hong Kong people online from the forum, they're actually quite aggressive when it comes to vegan, but I think this is quite universal in other
Yeah,
cities, other countries as well.
yeah.
And we will start to, for example, in Hong Kong Pig Safe, we have a funny Chinese name. We have a funny Chinese name. It's a little bit political related. And then when people, like, for example, the aggressive people online on the forum, they will tease us.
Yeah,
Yes, it happens. It happens.
yeah. So, all
Yeah,
right.
my page also have some haters.
Yeah.
Oh, he has a lot.
You don't make it until you get haters, you know? You gotta get their attention.
It doesn't matter.
Wendy,
It's welcome to bring up all the conversation. I think there is still lots of the people, they are neutral and they will see the conversation and make their
Yeah.
own judgment.
Yeah.
for Wendy, the case is quite special because the haters, a lot of the haters actually come after the fur protest, the anti-fur protest. So you feel like, oh,
Yeah.
fur industry, someone speaking against the fur industry, and then they might have paid someone to do things that harass Wendy. She used to get a lot of phone calls, random anonymous phone calls. I mean, for Wendy, yes. It's right after anti-fur protest. So it's
You're
obvious.
handling that very well, Wendy. I don't know if I'd be laughing. That's scary.
It's fine. I survived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you stay safe. But it brings me to the idea, though, like in Western cultures, how the disconnect for a lot of us is in our communities is people who Wendy touched upon this, want to have a connection with cats and dogs, and they get outraged when they see festivals where they're killing dogs, and it's like dogs are the same as pigs, and so we can get mad at these certain cultures that are killing dogs all we want, but they don't see their hypocrisy. But how do they see? Do people in China see the activists in China that are going against these festivals killing dogs? Are they exposed to that at all?
I think there is people standing against those dog meat or cat meat
No, I
festivals.
mean, and over here we actually see there are Chinese activists
Yeah.
that are actually going in and trying to save these dogs. That I would think that is very dangerous for them. Not just because of the locals, but speaking out because of the government. But are the people in those areas that weren't there when it happened, do they get exposed to that? Do they know what's happening? Do you have any idea, or do we need to wait for Wendy?
I think we have to wait for Wendy. I'm not so sure about how they execute their rescue plan. I am not so sure. I only saw some videos online as well of some people rescuing dog and also some people like speaking up against the whole festival thing, but not sure.
Yeah. All right, everybody. So we lost Wendy's connection, and we tried so hard to get it back, but we have decided that this is the way we will finish this up because we are very close to the end of the interview. We're not going to give up.
Yes.
And I also found out that "we" means hello, right?
Wai.
Oh, sorry. Why?
Wai. When you talk on the phone, Cantonese is wai is hello.
Why is how you say hello. So, why, Wendy? We're gonna talk from the phone. All right, we're almost there, guys. We're in the last lap of our questions. So I want to ask you, would you say it's easy or hard to be vegan where you live?
Is it hard or easy to be vegan in Hong Kong and in Shanghai?
Yes.
In Hong Kong, it's actually getting much better right now. In recent few years, there's a lot more vegan restaurant. It's vegan, not even vegetarian or Buddhist kind of restaurant. It's vegan restaurant. There's more and more options. Of course, there's a chain. There's a restaurant chain in Hong Kong called Green Monday. Green Monday.
Okay.
Yes. It's a company, and then they own a fast food chain called Green Common.
Green
Common.
Yes,
their motto is like make change happen, make green common. So Green Common have it in this different district. So it's very convenient for people when they go to work. They have one in the central business area, and then when they go back home, there's always some Green Common chain in the suburbs as well. Yes.
Okay.
It's a lot easier right now. How about you, Wendy, in Shanghai? Is it hard or easy to be a vegan in Shanghai?
I I think overall it's easy. I still consider this is the easiest city in China. Green Mountain and Green Common also starting in Shanghai, but I think the ecosystem is a bit different compared to Hong Kong. But I think even the local restaurant or I do not have a number how many vegetarian or vegan restaurant we have here in Shanghai. But then I think over like Chinese restaurant, it's easy to order a veg options. And especially as I mentioned, we have a mature vegan community here as a support. Yeah, so I think, because being a vegan, I think not just about the food, but community support is also important. So for me, I think it's easy in Shanghai.
Yeah, when you talk about the restaurant numbers, I remember there's a number for the vegan restaurant or veg restaurant in Hong Kong. It's like 200-ish, right?
Wow.
250 more or less. So I think in such a small place, this number is
That's
more
huge.
Than, right?
Yes.
That's
yes.
huge. I
Yes.
want to change our screens here and see if that works. It might cut off Wendy. If it does, I'm going to go back. Yep, it cuts her off. So I'm going to go back.
Okay.
Okay. So, all right. I asked you if it's easy or hard to be vegan where you live. You're saying it's easy. You can do it, right?
Yes.
Am I correct? Okay.
Yes.
So, but tell us, what are your struggles?
For being a vegan activist, right?
Well, just to be vegan. Just to be vegan where you live. What are the struggles?
Can you pardon the question?
The
Sure.
question is, what is your struggle of being a vegan in Shanghai, for example? Yes.
Okay.
What is the struggle? I don't feel like there's a struggle for me myself being a vegan, but when it comes to in terms of promoting or doing street outreach, talking to people, there are still quite a lot of deep-rooted understanding that I think is universal. Like people needs meat to survive.
Sure.
And they always add, of course, the protein thing.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's really common in Hong Kong as well, I would say. And also for us vegan, of course, we know where to find vegan or or plant-based food. But for a lot of people who are not in the plant-based circle, not in the plant-based community, they find it challenging to find vegan food or vegan restaurants.
Okay.
And that's why I feel like one of the struggles or one of the things that we really need to work hard on is how to build a better community connection, I guess, a better community network, and also use some technology, for example, app. We do have an app that is similar to Happy Cow, but it's not really active because Happy Cow, it is a company, right? And it has their team doing a lot of different outreach or different thing to maintain the website or the app. But in Hong Kong, there's not much people doing things to maintain the.
Well, I think what it is with Happy Cow is it relies on people of the community to help them. And I think if people don't know about it in China, they're going to get less help. So,
Wendy, what is your struggle being a vegan in Shanghai?
Yeah, I think it's quite similar to Anne. I think personally, I don't feel really struggle. I think for the individuals, find a reason for ourselves to help us stand firm on this choice is really important. So after I know all the truth behind the animal agriculture, I think this is the minimum I need to do. So I don't think this is very struggle personally, but I think in terms of advocacy, sometimes I feel a bit struggle. I think as an animal rights activist in Hong Kong, after I come over here, I feel like I have no room to mention what I believe. This makes me a bit struggle. But of course, I know what I'm doing is like helping animals in another way. But then sometimes you will feel why I can't tell the truth. Why or you will. compared to my life in Hong Kong, the struggle is more about the culture, or how people, they are not acceptance on some very basic
concept.
Yeah. I think no matter in terms of no matter the nutrition, health, content, or the environment, conservative, the conservations. I think there is still a big gap between the people as a Hong Kong activist. Yeah, so I think more struggle on my work life might be. If the personal life, I think is completely fine.
I think that is the same answer I get all around the world, and that you can be vegan where you are, but the struggles are other people. It's
True.
not being vegan.
Yeah, right.
It's other people. So that's funny. Again, we have so much in common. So I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite form of advocacy? You both have done several different forms of advocacy. So what is your favorite form? Do you like to, for example, go out and give food, have potlucks, or do you like to talk to people on the streets and show footage? Just for example.
Wendy can go first.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I tried many different kinds of activism. Even Ann and I, we did a busking, rewriting the lyrics of a song to do activism at the streets. But I think
you did a busking.
Music.
Yeah, I know what busking is. Yeah.
Busking, yeah.
That's when you're doing you're a musician on the street. Yes.
And then
Okay,
we wrote the lyrics of some signature songs. For example, Cantonese, like the local.
You rewrote the lyrics.
We rewrote the Cantonese signature classic songs, and sometimes when it comes to festival, we will rewrote for example, Christmas song.
That's
into
wonderful.
Something that reflects a vegan message, and then we will go on the streets and do busking. Yes,
that's awesome. That's great. That is great.
So fun. Yeah, but I think the best for me is like doing screening or conference to bring up some effective discussion among the groups, or when I am doing the street outreach, and then I can have some deep conversation one-on-one with people. I think this is the best for me because it's more direct.
Yes, understand. For me as well, I enjoy doing street outreach a lot because when you talk to people, when you start a conversation to like real people in front of you, it's really different different from doing any social media campaign, that kind of thing. And also when it comes to, like I said, the online forum, there's always people who are really aggressive against veganism, right? But when you met them in person, when you talk to them, they are different people. They're actually human beings as well, and they respect you being vegan as well. That's why I feel like something personal that works for me, especially deep conversations. Yes.
Yeah, I was just talking to somebody about that the other day. I was like, all this trolling that happens on the internet. When you talk to people face to face, those exact same people face to face on the streets, they rarely will do that.
Yeah.
You will actually have a connection, a human connection with them, and a serious conversation, a genuine conversation.
Yes. Sometimes I feel like they just couldn't imagine anyone would go on a vegan, that strict diet because solely because of animal. They couldn't imagine that. But when you meet them, they see your presence.
Yep.
That might change their view. Yes.
Yeah, and it's funny because being vegan.
Sorry.
What's that? What did you say?
Just exist.
Yes.
Yeah. And what's funny is, like, once you become vegan, you realize what a strict diet you were on before you went vegan, because it's all meat, potatoes, well, maybe rice for you. It's basically a starch, a piece of flesh, and some secretions like cheese.
Yes.
And that's it. and you go onto a vegan diet and you have so much that you try that's new.
True.
So many foods that I never tried before, I've
True.
eaten now.
Yes. Agree.
As a matter of fact, there's a lot of Chinese foods and vegetables that I've tried that I would have never tried if I had not gone
Cool.
vegan. So if a vegan visits where you live, where should they go? That doesn't have to be a restaurant. It can be, but it doesn't have to be.
When a vegan visit Hong Kong, where should they go? Or when a vegan visit Shanghai, where should they go?
Or outside of Hong Kong, let's say.
Yeah, outside of Hong Kong. Which is you?
Yeah.
In China.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you are outside of Hong Kong. I'm in Hong Kong.
Even Shanghai.
Yeah, even Shanghai.
The Chuhui district.
Say that one more time, please.
The district which has more expats living there or hangouts there, those districts has more vegan options.
The name of the district, Xuhui.
District, yeah, or Jing'an. They are like a city center of Shanghai.
Xuhui or Jing'an. The two districts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I feel like I have an interview assistant now in Ann. You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job.
Okay. So for vegans who are visiting in Hong Kong basically it separates into 3 parts. I would say new territories, a big part, new territories.
Okay.
A part is called Kowloon, and a part is called Hong Kong Island.
Okay.
Hong Kong Island is the major part. It's like the central business area. It is an island surrounded by sea. And then there's mountain in the middle, in the central part. And surrounding the coastal line, there's a lot of different popular districts. And in Hong Kong Island, you can usually find a lot of vegan restaurants or veg-friendly restaurants.
It sounds very beautiful too.
Yes. Hong Kong Island, it is beautiful. It overlooks the Victoria Harbour, and they have the signature skyline of Hong Kong.
Wow. Okay.
Signature skyline, the Victoria Harbour.
It sounds like you have it all, mountains and the shore and and the city. I mean, that sounds beautiful.
And everything is just an hour away. It's really convenient in Hong Kong.
Okay, so what is your favorite local vegan dish that they should try, or at least a dish that can be veganized easily? You want me to repeat that?
Wendy, 你聽唔聽到啊? Can you hear that, Wendy?
Favorite dish? Is it favorite dish or restaurants?
Favorite vegan dish that they should try, or at least a dish that can be veganized easily?
I think for Hong Kong, if vegans are visiting Hong Kong, they must try it's usually vegetarian, the traditional tea house. If you really find one that is doing the dim sum, the dumpling thing, usually vegetarian, but they have plenty of vegan options.
Okay.
So I think it's really a must try for vegans visiting Hong Kong. And it's quite an authentic experience as well, compared to the real authentic tea house. It's quite authentic, but everything is plant-based. Yes. How about you, Wendy?
Yeah, for me, it's so hard to name only one dish, and there is no very significant, like a signature dish here in Shanghai. But then I found that yuenan restaurant. Sometimes they are not even a vegetarian restaurant, just a normal yuenan restaurant. Yuenan is like the west part in China. It's not easy to find yuenan cuisine in Hong Kong, but I found quite a lot in Shanghai, and many of them, they are very vegan friendly. Yeah, so I would recommend trying a Yunnan cuisine here in Shanghai.
Yunnan.
Yunnan.
Okay.
Yunnan, yeah.
And if you have any links to places that have those, again, We'll include them under the video.
I can recommend some restaurants.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Awesome. So tell us, how can they get involved in the local vegan community if they come to visit?
For Hong Kong, definitely there's a Facebook group co-founded by Wendy. The name is Vegans Hong Kong.
Awesome.
So, and they have a lot of vegan discussion or vegan events going on. So definitely join the Vegans Hong Kong Facebook group. That's where you find the vegans community.
I am going to do that myself. Okay. Great.
How
So,
about you, Wendy?
So in Shanghai, it's a bit tricky. I think as a foreigner, it's better that at least you need to install a WeChat. So, which is very similar function like WhatsApp. Because here we don't use Facebook. I think the main channel and social media we use here is WeChat. So you can join the Vegans of Shanghai group. Also, there's another one called VeganFoodie hookup Shanghai. So there are some different groups, but at least you need to install this app. So they are like a chat group.
Yeah.
People, so the mechanism is different to Instagram and Facebook, but there's like lots of people there in the group, like a chat room.
I would say WeChat, the app is a mix of WhatsApp and also Twitter.
okay.
So you can see your friends' update as well as chatting with them.
That's really good information to know if you're coming into China because, for example, when I went down to Mexico, I found out everybody was on WhatsApp. Now, I know that a lot of people all over the world are on WhatsApp, but I never heard of it before I went to Mexico.
Really?
And that is what mainly everybody I knew in Mexico was on. So, now everybody's on WhatsApp and you gotta, yeah. So when I'm in Mexico, I definitely am using WhatsApp. So that is great information to have. Thank you so much for that. So, finally, where would you like to visit one day and learn about veganism there? Have you either one of you traveled extensively? And I know you went to Australia for college, but where would you like to visit one day and learn about veganism there that you haven't been or haven't been as a vegan?
Wendy.
It should be Israel for me.
Okay.
The vegan capital.
A lot of people say that.
Yeah. Israel.
You want to go to Israel as well, Anne?
For me, I feel like Germany.
Germany.
Yes.
That's very big on veganism as well.
Yes. You have to go there.
Yeah, because I haven't been to Germany before, but Wendy, she did. And I always heard from my friends, people there are progressive, and then the vegan community is building, and then they even have the vegan concept. They're quite progressive. That's what I heard, yes.
Yeah. I am. The reason I haven't interviewed anyone from Israel, Germany, or the UK yet is because they're probably the easiest places to be vegan, and that's not what I'm trying to find the harder places first. So
Yeah.
they might be my last 3 in 2 years from now. No.
A place for retirement, maybe.
So I do actually have a surprise question for the end. Do you, either one of you, Anne or Wendy, do you like pizza?
Yes.
Pizza?
Yeah.
Yes. Do you like pizza?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, the question is, pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Is it okay to have pineapple on pizza?
That look.
I think it's okay to have pineapple in pizza personally, but I do not like fruit pizza.
Yeah, I do find it's fine to have it, but because it's quite a common flavor in Hong Kong.
Pineapple is?
Sorry?
Pineapple is a common flavor in Hong Kong.
Pineapple on pizza.
Is it? Really?
Yes. It's a common pizza option in pizza restaurants.
Okay.
But I personally don't like it like sweet and savory together.
Really? Wrong answer. The whole interview is canceled. You gotta
But
be
you
team.
you enjoyed it. You enjoyed it.
I love this interview. This has been so much fun. Actually, I am team pineapple on pizza. I love pineapple with hot peppers. So
Hot
like the heat.
peppers.
Yeah. So maybe not just sweet and savory, which I do like, but sweet and heat. Try sweet and heat. Maybe you'll
Okay,
like it that way. Try it
cool.
out.
Let
But
me try.
you guys didn't really give a definitive no, so I'll leave it there.
Yeah.
So
I think pizza is one of the things easiest to localize. So you will find more new flavors here in Shanghai.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I'm sure. It's probably stuff that we've never even heard of that would be very interesting. As long as it's
Yeah.
not flesh and secretions, I'm all for trying it. I'm all for
Okay.
trying it. What kind of vegetable might we find on a pizza in China or Hong Kong that we wouldn't find anywhere else? Do you
Oh,
know?
a lot.
A lot. I'll take your word for it. Okay,
It,
ladies, you know
okay, cool.
what? We've had such a blast and some connection problems, but this worked out great. I love this idea, and this worked out really well. And Anne, you've been a great assistant on
Thank
this.
you. No
Thank
worries.
you. I am so very,
Yeah.
very, very happy to meet you. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm gonna go ahead and let you go because it's getting late for you guys. It's
11. 11.
yeah, it's
It's fine.
getting late for you. It's still the beginning of my day, so but it was
Yeah.
a wonderful way to start my day, and we will keep in
Enjoy.
touch.
Sure.
We will definitely keep in touch. So,
Sure.
bye, ladies. I'll let you go.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank
All right.
you.
You have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
Visit Hong Kong sometime.
You know what? I want to now.
Bye.
All right. Bye bye. All right. Thank you so much. Wow, that was great. That really worked out. We had a hard time there for a minute. Kept losing Wendy and but wow. All I can say is I am so happy to finally meet them, talk to them, and a lot of interesting stuff about that area of the world. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. I don't know if you appreciate how hard it was to get this to happen and how much I appreciate them coming on because it can be a little mm, uncomfortable to be outside of Hong Kong and speak about these things. So let's hope we hear more from these ladies in the future. And you guys, if you want to know who I'm going to have next week, you're just going to have to show up. Oh, don't forget, like, subscribe, comment, share. Check out the links below. Love you.